plan that they submitted was based on an unsubmitted plan from 2007. It was drawn up, was never submitted. The plan back then was drawn up with our predated zoning ordinances. Since they had drawn that up, our ordinances had changed. But so that, and there was a lot of engineering discussion about updating to the new ordinances. So we treated this as a sketch plan. And we're going to clean things up and come back and we'll be open again when we get things up. So that was the rest of it. The second applicant was Durstein Millhaven. I'm sure you know about this one. Andy DeGrucci owns this. He's a stonemason and he owns Line Works. He sells specialized line. So they own this 14-acre tract that has the historic Durstein Mill on it down State and Keystone Drive. You guys know that. And that's where he runs his business now. His Line Works business is running out of a temporary office. This site has an existing house, a cottage, a mill, a garage, a barn, and a pole barn. He wants to use the existing barns for office, storage, workshops, manufacturing, as well as for livestock. He wants to use the farmhouse as a guest house, cottage as a caretaker's house. The mill he wants to convert to a workshop and a loft for residents. And he wants to provide space on the property for training and construction of tiny houses. So this guy's pretty ambitious. He did get relief from zoning hearing for multiple uses on the site. I think it was back to 16 that presented. I don't think he had the tiny house aspect of that when he ran for the hearing. Let's see how that watches that. So without getting into too much more detail about the project, there were a lot of engineering comments on this that we dealt with. They're willing to comply with just about everything. So they're going to clean this plan up and come back for future date for preliminary final.
We're already with the bridge.
Oh, that's right. They got permit. Was it from PennDOT to construct that bridge, or they had to?
From BAD,
For the wetland.
see the joint appointment from the Department of Environmental Protection and the Army Corps of Engineers for the crossing of the wetland. And then subsequently they came in for the hearing determination because there was a floodplain, our floodplain ordinance issue. Because they had the permit in hand, that variance was granted.
That access is from Keystone Drive.
What are they gonna do with the other entrance?
They're going to leave that entrance open. They're going to, you put up signage to direct people to the other entrance. They want to leave it open for.
Yeah, that's dangerous. They have trucks going in and out of there.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous spot.
Yeah, and they know that. So that's why they had to get access off Keystone Drive. They are going to leave that access open for emergency service and probably for their own personal use. So that was it for Durstein Millhaven. Do you have any questions on that? It's a really big
Well,
project.
some of that we heard back in 2016, but
Yeah.
then some of it was additions, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of additional info from the previous presentation.
Fully involved.
Thank you.
There's a lot going on. If he lives to be 120, you might see then it's very ambitious. I hope he can pull it off. The third applicant that didn't show up was Eastern Montgomery Properties. They had submitted a plan for a 9,000 square foot contractor service building on 2 lots on, where are we at? The corner of Mill and Forest. Not the corner lot, but the next one, and 2 lots side by side. And they want to put this 9,000 square foot contractor service building on. It's in the PC2, it's allowable. It's a little, they have this building going across both lots, so we don't exactly know what they're
Chris,
planning.
did they come in before about a parking lot?
Now, that was the one on the corner.
On the corner.
This is the next lot.
Oh, okay.
So, we don't know what they want to use it for other than its contractor services. But the dual lot with the somebody standing both lots throws up a red flag. So that was it for them. Last thing we had was the comp plan. We reviewed it, we voted unanimously to recommend adoption. So that's in your court now. We loved it. Okay, so that's my report.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I have a,
I'll make a motion to adopt Chris's plan as presented.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Great,
Aye.
thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, Park and Rec, Bob Strobel.
Yes, I'll just make it quick. Park and Rec had a usual party gathering we do every year in December to celebrate the holidays. But we do have an opening now in the Park and Rec. We had someone leave, so everybody raise your hand who wants to be a Park and Rec member.
Do you get benefits?
So that's the,
Health insurance.
Health
That's what I
insurance, right?
meant.
You get health insurance with that.
okay, but that's it. We had no meeting.
Okay, there's really nothing to adopt?
Nothing to
Approve, yeah, okay.
other than
Oh, yes, we're gonna make a motion to advertise. Okay, to advertise, okay, second, all in favor? Aye, okay. Thank you. Holiday House Pool, Joint Rec Authority, some good news this month. We now have a new manager. Suzanne will now be focusing all of her activities on the board. Karen Nace. Karen is a person who grew up at the Holiday House Pool. She was a swimming instructor there. She was a lifeguard there. She was a pool manager several times. She lives in her family lives in Percy, and Sellersville. Family lives in Sellersville. She lives in Percy right now. But she's a teacher at Petty Ridge High School, so I think she's going to be a really good fit, and she will assume the management position on January 1st. I have tons and tons of information on her. Very long resume at Petty Ridge High School, but I'm not going to go through all that. The other thing is we did approve our 2019 budget, and for everyone's information, we did increase memberships across the board by $10. Family memberships, seniors, juniors, and regular memberships are all now $10. No, we did not increase additional family members to a family membership. Okay, so if you have additional, it's still the old rate. So, is there anything else, Suzanne, that, oh, you weren't there, I forgot. Okay, so I think one of the reasons we felt justified to raise the membership fee was because of all the work we've been doing there for the last 2 years. You've heard me spiel off about that enough over the past 2 years, every month. But we have a lot more things we're doing. We're putting together an exciting schedule for this summer already. Memberships will be available in January from the Borough Hall in Sellersville. So that's all I have.
Jim, can I ask you for, in January maybe, could you give the board a breakdown of what memberships were purchased in 2018?
Yeah, I
Or
can get
for townships,
Sure.
or outside
Yeah,
townships?
yeah,
Just to get an idea.
sure, yeah, I can get that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, fine. That's it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Joint Rec Authority report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. That brings us to the police commission report. Chief Blake.
How's everybody doing?
Hi.
Stand so tall there. So, this is the December 2018 police report. It lists the crimes and activity for the Penrose Regional Police Department from November of 2018, where we're a month behind. You can see that the department handled 582 calls for service. 289 of those were in East Rockhill Township, and 293 were in West Rockhill. And the department handled 54 traffic crashes, 20 of those in East Rockhill and 34 in West Rockhill. 21 were reportable crashes and 33 were non-reportable crashes. The difference between that is a reportable crash is a crash where a vehicle needs to be towed and or someone's injured. When you see non-reportable, there's still a report written, but it doesn't meet that criteria where those crash reports are sent to the state. The department handled 8 Part 1 crimes and 18 Part 2 crimes in November. Part 1 crimes are the most serious crimes. For West Rockhill, the crimes are as follows: burglary, force, non-residence, 4 theft cases, 1 sex offense against a minor, 2 fraud cases, 3 disorderly conduct cases, 1 criminal mischief, 1 trespass, 2 DUI cases, and 1 dog law violation. East Rockhill, it was a burglary, force, non-residence, 1 theft, 3 fraud cases, 1 criminal mischief case, 1 DUI, 1 terrorist threat, 1 dog law violation, and 1 ordinance violation. The burglary in West Rockhill, we set up a sting operation in that resident, got their property back. Call me at the station tomorrow, I go into that, it's just like a Cops episode, so it's quite neat. The criminal charges filed in 2018, November of 2018 are as follows: 1 charge for recklessly endangering another person, 1 flight to avoid apprehension, 2 DUI charges, 3 charges of possession of marijuana, 1 charge of possession of methamphetamines, 1 charge of receiving stolen property, 1 charge of theft of services, and 1 charge of bad checks. And there's the police activity conducting 190 traffic enforcement details, 20 details along Buffalo Pike, issuing 6 verbal traffic warnings, 29 citations, and 41 written warnings. And officers also conducted 210 business checks. So that's the police report.
Okay.
We'll talk about the budget since you mentioned our budget.
Yeah, why don't you give that?
Yeah, did I send you out?
Just give an overview. Yeah. How many years?
Well, we, ain't they, well, they, not me, commission did, Penn Regional Police Commission with the,
Many hours of negotiation.
Penn Regional Police Benevolent Association, that's the, union that covers our officers. I'm an administrator, so I'm not part of that union, secretary's not part of that union. So, Greg and, Mary Ann, the manager of East Rockhill, they're part of our public safety committee, so they met with the union representatives and inked a 5-year deal, which will take them to 2023, which is pretty good. You know, those 3-year contracts, they just keep, you know, coming around, and the longer the term, the better it is. And even though there's there might be economic uncertainty, the last year of the contract was a 3% raise. So it ends on the downside. Healthcare premium reimbursements will be contributing up to 5%. However, officers hired after January will automatically pay 5%. So the officers that are there now will tier up to that, and officers afterwards will automatically pay 5%. And there was a salary freeze for new hires after 2019, but that's all negotiated. Greg and Mary Ann would field questions and ask questions. I, maybe give them answers, and then the board, ultimately, hashes that out and votes on that. And, if you have any questions, I certainly answer them. But it's a police they kind of would look at police contracts. Like Greg and Mary Ann would sit there. The officers come in with a wish list. We want a helicopter, we want an airplane, whatever. And they said, no, you're getting a wagon, and then you kind of work towards the middle ground. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go to what's known as an arbitration hearing, because you'll lose, the township will lose on that. Usually they lose because the amount of money spent on attorney's fees and for the neutral arbitrator. Usually the township is required to pay that. So negotiation is paramount in those things. Fred, Mr.
The
Dexter,
chief's editorial opinions on the win-loss possibilities are not necessarily shared by the Board of Supervisors.
I've negotiated these contracts since I came here in 1988. So you see, we only went to arbitration one time, and it's not good. It's not good for the township. It's not good, really not good for the police. But Fred Dexter, he was one of the supervisors that we had negotiated with at one time, and healthcare is always an issue that we talk about. Basically, your police department expenses are the building, employees, and a new vehicle. That's basically it. I mean, those other costs kind of stay the same. So officers will say, hey, we want 6 hours for court time, and then 2's enough, and so they kind of need to know. But if anybody ever has any questions about it, please call me. I'll love to explain how those negotiations work. Fred probably a tough negotiator. The toughest negotiator is Bob Gerstein. He was tough to negotiate with, but, you know, that's how it's usually handled. You know, when they compare these contracts, there's another thing to remember. You know, that they don't compare them to, is that 5 minutes on?
Yeah.
Oh, well. You know, they're gonna compare with, full-time police agencies in the Penrith School District. You know, they're not gonna compare us to, let's say, a police department in the middle of the state. So, those are the types of comparisons, probably similar to the school district, you know, when they negotiate a contract. You know, teachers in Penridge versus teachers in, you know, the middle part of the state. So that's where those negotiations come into play. You know, they look at, okay, what full-time police departments earn, what are those officers earning in these other departments? And, you know, quite frankly, the supervisors, the commission, which is comprised of supervisors, they do a really good job of, you know, keeping those costs down. They, you know, compared to other municipalities, you know, they really run a tight budget, but we still have a full-time police department. We provide those services, and you know, we have to run 24/7. When a guy calls out sick, we just can't say, "Oh, that's it. You know, we're not covering it." And, you know, we have to have policies in place that cover that. So they do a good job. My 5 minutes is definitely up.
Are you out of breath?
No,
You
no.
need my water?
But please, if you have any questions, I mean, it's not a secret. I'll send you a copy of it.
I think your office is gonna be open, it says 8 to 4, but I went there and nobody's there.
Well, if you go to the office and it's not open,
I tried that 3 times.
pick up the phone there and they'll call an officer back. Sometimes I'll have, you know, just like Greg and Mary Ann and other townships, they cut staff. We have one clerical staff. And, you know, when she's on vacation, the officers don't sit at the station. They're out handling calls. So if you come to the station, whether it's after hours, during hours, before o'clock, or whatever, there's a phone there. Pick up your phone, it'll bring you right to the dispatch center in Doylestown, and they'll have an officer come back. So,
And I've used the phone in the past, and sometimes there's an officer downstairs that just comes up. So it does work.
yeah.
All right, all right.
I think you guys are doing a great job and we got our money.
Can I get a approval of,
Yeah, you forgot to mention that West Rockhill Township has the lowest tax rate millage-wise with a full-time police department.
The highest rate on insurance.
all right.
Actually,
Balance sheet out, okay. Can I get a motion to approve the chief's report? All in favor? Aye, thank you.
I expect someone to call me tomorrow, I can tell you about that thing.
It's a great story, and it is like something out of cops, I've heard it, so. Tax collector's report. James Clark.
For December, annual taxes are collected $2,598.44. 2008 minimum tax bill $6.38. One streetlight tax, $35.61. Taxes are all due by the end of the year, 31st of December. Must be in my office. Liens will be filed January 1st.
You made another comment to me yesterday about taxes.
Oh, yeah, you're collecting more than the weekly budget.
How's that?
Thank you, Suzanne.
Good, thank you. Motion to approve the tax.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, engineer's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item we had on the agenda was the Crafts Major Subdivision. Is there someone here tonight? Come on up, sir.
Any what?
Ray Klaus, consulting engineer. This project is the Kratz Farm on Ridge Valley Road. We're proposing a 6-lot subdivision. We're proposing to maintain the existing estate lot and structures on the house. As you can see by the plan, there are 5 other single-family residential lots. We have a review letter dated November 7 from Wynn Associates. What's your pleasure, gentlemen? You want me to just go through each, or just items that we need to discuss?
I think if you're will comply, I don't know.
Item number 1 in the letter is, if you don't mind, I'll come back to, because it has to do with a small waiver request.
I think what Mr. Duval was saying is, tell us that everything in the letter is a will comply except, so that we're not going item number 1, item number 2, item number 3. So we're gonna assume that you are going to comply with everything in the engineer's review letter, which is quite lengthy, unless you specifically say otherwise.
Very good. Item number, I'm going to come back to item number 1. Item number 2 is a discussion item that we need to talk about. The ordinance says, as you can see by the plan, we have 3 flag lots on this property, within this project. And the ordinance says that if a public street is more appropriate, it's up to your discretion to do that. It is our opinion that a public street is not practical for this application due to, it's difficult to see it, but the existing structures are in the center of the lot, right in the middle here. There are a number of, the house, there's a pool, and a number of other structures. And it was the intent to maintain the estate effect so that a public street would not be practical for this particular layout. And it is up to this discussion to talk about that, and up to you to possibly approve the layout as proposed.
I think maybe we should go through all the items that we have issues with, and then you can comment on it.
The next item that I'd like to discuss is item number 8 in the letter, and that is also a discussion about waivers that we're requesting. Item number 11 is, has to do with recreation land, and it is the applicant's wish to pay a fee in lieu of recreation land, opposed to providing it in this case. So that is another item that I would need your input on.
And just, not to interrupt you, but at one time we had talked about, in lieu of recreation land, an access path to the township property to the rear of the site. And as discussed at the planning commission, the applicant's no longer amenable to that possibility, is that correct?
There was a lot of discussion about potentially providing an easement for access from Ridge Valley Road to the rear of the property. The township currently owns property to the rear of this property, but because of the terrain, the slope, the boulders, we kind of had a long discussion at the planning commission, and it is our opinion that a path through this property is not practical, and that there are other alternatives to get from Ridge Valley Road someday over to the township open space in somewhat close proximity, so that we have taken that off the table.
And
Have you submitted a plan to how you would accomplish that?
No.
if I could add to that, at the planning commission meeting, the planning commission was generally in agreement with their position that it wasn't desirable due to topography to get a path through that site. That was one of the bases for the planning commission's discussion about a sidewalk along Ridge Valley Road. The thought was an alternate maybe someday to extend sidewalks or paths along Ridge Valley Road down to the village area and have a different access over this park. The planning commission's recommendation was to identify it as a future sidewalk, but it's one of the waiver items that are for discussion tonight.
respect to landscaping in this property, there aren't that many requirements. We have street trees. There are some existing street trees on the property, and we filled in gaps where street trees do not exist. We have a few, we took a few larger trees down that required replacement, and we've added some replacement trees. So not a very difficult, complex landscaping plan, but it's in the letter for discussion.
And the planning commission was satisfied with the plantings that were set.
The last item that I'd like to talk about, again, turns into a waiver request, has to do with streetlights. The ordinance does say that
What number?
18 suggests that lighting be provided for all subdivisions. Again, it was discussed at the planning commission. There are no streetlights in this area, and the planning commission, I believe, was under the impression that a waiver would be acceptable for this section of the ordinance as well.
There's also some discussion whether or not driveway lamp posts might be appropriate in lieu of street lights. I think the planning commission ultimately was their preference, but since the sidewalk wasn't
Going.
going in now, they weren't in favor of a driveway lamp post at this point, but they might be appropriate if and when the sidewalk was.
And then a note in the plan, this plan to be approved would have some language to that effect. That's all I have. Everything else is
That
real.
was your item number one then? You said you were-
Yes, okay, thank you. Item number one, again, is minor, is technical in its context. This property is part of the Unami watershed, and as you know, it's a high-quality watershed. We have some wetlands at the back of the property here. Another reason why a path isn't real practical through there, because you'd have to go through the high-quality wetlands to the rear of the property. The ordinance suggests that our wetland study that we've had done, and we will provide Steve with, needs to be validated by the Army Corps of Engineers. We are a minimum of 250 feet away from the delineated wetlands on this property. So the waiver request that I would suggest and ask for would be that we do not have to go through the arduous process of getting validation from the Army Corps of Engineers. We have hired a qualified wetland expert to provide the study. We will provide that to your engineer, but the waiver is that we'd like not to have to go for validation with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay, now, there's no legal requirement for that to go to the Army Corps of Engineers.
It's a subdivision ordinance requirement, so it's a waivable requirement. If there were construction near the wetland area, I would certainly suggest that validation be, at least the preliminary determination be granted, but, he is correct, that the development is quite a distance from the wetland area. And I believe it's protected by a riparian buffer. That's all, that's delineated on the plan.
And when you say okay, does that mean that the board's okay with the waiver on that?
No, it's okay, I understood what you
Oh.
I wanted to, I was waiting until he was done to ask your opinion, because you do represent us. Is that study okay from the person that he's acknowledging that they'll get a specialist, wetland specialist to?
A lot of
provide that?
municipalities go in that direction,
Okay.
and I'll leave Steve tell you if it's okay or not. I see a lot of municipalities get wetlands experts to verify the existence of wetlands or not.
I would be satisfied with the circumstance.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. You're okay with that, Don?
Yeah, everything we've said has been done.
We still have to apply for minimum use driveway permits for the new driveways.
Subject to a determination, the waivers for road.
Correct.
sometimes
Yeah.
if we go through
Yeah.
our village plan.
Right, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. Do we want to do it now?
If they're not done now, it needs to be calculated on what the cost would be when we, the our village plan will be, constructed. And I know that you've had, some experience in calculating this cost.
It had to be reserved, so it's not gonna be done now.
Right.
Probably not. Check the cost out of the fund, it might be done as well.
So, am I hearing the board say that you want a fee in lieu of the entire, or nearly the entire amount of the improvements?
And we need the right of way protected.
The right of way is offered for dedication.
Let's see
Oh,
what,
it is, okay.
let's see what Steve comes up with,
Okay,
we'll look at that,
all right.
and we can decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That one I'd like you to do.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, I mean, we're gonna get this together, but I have to write the resolution. So, right now, we're looking for a fee in lieu of, and you guys are gonna work on what the fee in lieu, and the board's gonna determine if that fee in lieu of is, enough. The fee in lieu, is that going into the general reserve fund that you see for road improvements, or a specific reserve fund? You had mentioned.
Yeah. But Donna,
It ought to be tagged somehow, it's something gonna be done in the future, so it's just plowed in there and mix with everything else.
Manager has an opinion.
Yeah, the hard part is gonna be the amount of interest we get versus the price of inflation. For the long-term improvements, whatever you put into a bank account, the interest rate will not keep up
Right.
the cost of improvements. You don't put it in now right away, that money will not be enough in the future.
All right, well, could we do
And
this?
that should
Could
forecast
he,
future costs.
could Steve analyze that, and then we could look at this again when we know what that would be,
Yeah.
to make a determination
Look,
at that
look,
time.
look at what we think the future.
Because I do know that does happen, and that's been one of the things, remember years ago, Steve, we had to do this with the blacktop prices increasing
Yeah.
10 times in 1 year. The cost of blacktop went up, and when we did the fee in lieu of thing, we lost